So, Pastor, I've asked Bill, when are you running for mayor?
Uh, let's see. Maybe in the next election.
I'm dead serious, sir.
Yeah. We'll see what the Lord says about that.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Bill Forster. Real Talk Chronicles. Today with my co-host, of course, every Wednesday, Kevin Branzetti, and we got our family friend in the building today. We got Pastor Kevin Graves, and I went PE and shut him down. Sometimes I should have played "Don't Believe the Hype," maybe on the end. We are talking about some police shootings that happened in the past. We are also talking about a situation that just happened 2 days ago with a gentleman that got shot in Ohio in regards to, do we say mistaken identity or assumption of what he had allegedly had in his hand? Does it remind you of Amadou Diallo in the Bronx? Listen, a man has a sandwich. They thought it was a gun. I don't know how you feel about that. Um, how is everybody doing on a Wednesday? Like, still trying to make it happen, still trying to believe. We got COVID, we got so many different things happening. First and foremost, Kevin Branzetti, how are you doing today, man?
Excellent, Bill. Excellent.
Good.
Happy to be here. Hello,
good.
all.
So you got your Christmas tree going on.
I did get my Christmas tree up. Yes, I was just talking to your wife about that. I kind of had a Griswold Christmas moment. I bought I cut down my own tree, cut a tree that was way too big for my house. But I didn't break anything and haven't set it on fire yet. I was waiting for the squirrel to jump out of it.
Oh, we got a squirrel going around here. We call it her mother, Diane and Malika. They've named him Bruce, Big Bruce. He's like the fattest squirrel. He's getting fat off of all the berries off the trees, and he runs all the squirrels away. Like all the other squirrels don't want that problem with him. So it's funny and it's okay. But Bruce, that's what we named him, Big Bruce. Anyway, Pastor Kevin Graves, we got in the building, a family member of the Real Talk Chronicles. He's always welcome to come back and partake in conversation with us. So first and foremost, how was your Thanksgiving? How's your family doing? How are you doing during this pandemic?
Thanksgiving was great. My family as well, by the grace of God, and just taking it one day at a time. Being obedient, following the instructions. When I go out, I make sure to wear my mask, practice social distancing. I carry my hand sanitizer. So doing what I need to do to keep myself safe, and hopefully being a role model for others as well.
Good. And I'm going to ask you, Kevin, real quick. I'm going to ask Pastor Graves first, and then I'm going to ask you, Kevin Branzetti. There's a vaccine out. What's your take on that, Pastor?
Well, it's really quick to come up with a vaccine. Perhaps this will be the beginning. I'm hoping, I'm praying that this will be the beginning of the end for COVID-19. So I know this sort of thing does take a number of years to come up with a vaccine. It has to be approved. The Food and Drug Administration has to get involved and give the okay. But apparently, from what I've read, the efficacy on this vaccine, or some of the vaccines that I've seen, are quite high, over 90% for some companies. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this will be the beginning of something very good for our country, and we can move forward and we can get past this lockdown. So I'm very hopeful, to answer your question.
Yeah. Would you take it?
I'm going to do my reconnaissance first. I'm going to do my due diligence. Right. Before anything goes into my body, I need information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I can't just, why? Because I value God's temple. And I will definitely do my due diligence before I say, okay, go ahead, do what you have to do.
Now, would you do that because of Kevin Graves? Would you do that because of Pastor Graves? Would you do that because of what you said? Just reiterating what you just said right now about God's temple and your body, and you're doing your due diligence.
All of the above.
Excellent. Cool. Kevin Branzetti, what would you do? Are you going to take the vaccine?
I am definitely going to take it. Somebody's got to test it out. And, I would volunteer happily to be one of the first. I don't pay attention a lot to the news because it can drive you nuts over this. But I do pay attention to when there is somebody of great stature in the medical field talking about it. And that's kind of what I've been listening to. And I can't find somebody who is saying anything bad about this vaccine. And from what I'm understanding too, is even if you had COVID, right, there's a chance of definitely getting it again. But your antibodies don't last, where they're saying the vaccine will last much, much longer. So I think it's going to be a must for us all. It'll be an interesting thing to see, but I'm optimistic.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. We've had so many other diseases and things of that magnitude, cancer. We've had the flu. I mean, AIDS. We have so many different things, and they find something to quell AIDS, but a lot of other things they haven't found a cure to. But all of a sudden, they found a vaccine for COVID-19, and they're able to, what is the Operation Warp Drive? Like does Kevin Branzetti? I'll ask you this question first, and then I'll go to you, Pastor. Does that make you feel a little like apprehensive? Like whoa, like
no, but it makes you think of. Look, we all know as the government, federal, city, state, we waste a lot of money, right? But when we put ourselves to something, we get shit done. And it's a shame that the resources that were put into COVID, aren't being put in yearly to everything else that you're throwing out there. Look, there were lots of diseases that have hit this planet, and that have been eradicated due to vaccinations. Some of them are I don't want to say simple, but some of them we find solutions quicker than others. I don't think it's not like that. It's not like people aren't putting effort into finding a cure for cancer. We just ain't cracked that code yet.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we ain't cracked that code for cancer, but we don't have a vaccine or anything similar remnants of that we could take. Here we go. We got something for COVID. Like me personally, I'm gonna wait. I'll let you go, Kevin Branzetti, first, and you take that vaccine. And if hair grow out your eyeballs, I'll tell you, where to go, turn left and turn right. So we all good on that one. I'm gonna wait it. It's so funny. I've never been one to think about being a guinea pig for anything or anyone. I've never been Mikey. I don't, Mikey eat it, like it. I'm not that dude. I think when we start talking about putting it in things of that magnitude, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. So I guess I got some real issues with that and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, also let me ask you a question. I mean, shout out to everybody that's watching Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host Kevin Branzetti and our special guest, Pastor Kevin Graves. We are in Real Talk. If you like it, share it. From YouTube, subscribe, push the thumb button on it, and let's just do what we do. Also, I have to get on my wife. She must have been using my computer today. I see my name today as Malika VF.
I noticed that when you first got on. I was just letting it go.
I was like, say, okay, we're going to have to talk about that one a little bit later. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. have to lay hands on you.
Oh my goodness, that was from last night. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All is
Okay.
well.
Hey, Bill, just be happy it's just her name. She
Yeah.
could have
Well,
put.
at least
She could have put a derogatory phrase about you, or some nickname, your little pet name that only she knows, right? She could have did a lot of things there.
Imagine she could have had up there poo poo bear or some shit, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's what happens. Somebody when they take
I
I love you too. When they borrow your stuff, you know. This was everybody out there that has a child or a wife or a husband. This is the consummate thing when they talk about put my shit back where it belongs. You know what I'm saying? Put my stuff back the way it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Don't move my shit. Sorry, Pastor, but I probably could take it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, at least we brought some light to it. Let me ask you all. I mean, we have a president-elect. Before we get into the topics that I really want to get into, we have a president-elect. He just elected nominee for defense secretary, African American. Seemed like he has credentials. Pastor, what do you think first, and then Kevin, I'll come to you if you know anything about it, or just your personal feeling of not even just that elect. What do you think about his cabinet that he's been formulating so far?
Well, I'm hoping these are people who can get the job done, who can bring about the healing process for our country, who can get us on the right path towards economic recovery, towards overcoming this COVID-19 pandemic that we're in, and also establishing race relations. Because those are the main issues. And of course, the stimulus package as well, which is, we'll see what happens. There's, as you know, there's the $908 billion stimulus package. It was a proposal that was put forth by some bipartisan senators. And we're hoping that we'll see some sort of, not just a proposal, but we'll begin to see some legislation real soon. As far as the president's cabinet, I believe his name is General Austin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know much about the man, but I'm very hopeful, again, that the president and also the vice president is putting together a cabinet that has the best interest of the American people and will put the American people first before their own interests.
Kev?
It always helps when you talk when you're not muted.
Yeah, there you go.
You know? I gotta say I have not looked at anybody yet that Biden has picked, so I can't give a fair and honest opinion on something I have not researched or a person I haven't heard of. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to take a pass on this one. Let me
ask you a question, Kevin. I know you haven't heard, you haven't, like you said, you haven't done your homework yet, and I know you're very thorough with that. But so far, what do you feel about the diversity that he's been adding to his cabinet, just on that aspect?
Diversity is always a good thing, Bill. You can't go wrong with diversity unless you hire idiots.
Exactly.
Right? But at that level, I would say diversity is an exceptional thing. You need different opinion, you need different thoughts, and hopefully he hired a group of people who are not just yes men.
Yes,
diversity is good. But diversity with not just gender, ethnicity, religion, and race, but diversity in thought is important. And hopefully that this group has that as well.
And we have a president that is willing to listen to those around him. I don't know much about President-elect Joe Biden, but based on what I've seen and heard of him, is that he sounds like a man who is willing to listen, who is not a know-it-all, and I'm not picking a fight here. He's willing to
give it to me. I'll take it.
He's willing to listen to smart people. I'm assuming he's surrounded by knowledgeable people. He wouldn't bring him into his cabinet if they weren't. And he's willing to, as president of the United States, listen to those around him. We may not always agree, but I want to hear what you have to say because I value your voice.
Well, I think that's an excellent point. like Kevin said, and just like you just said, I mean, diversity is great. The fact that you can bring people together, and you want to have, I don't listen. I don't care if you have diversity, but I don't want all yes men or yes ladies. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want get along, go along individuals. I'm not about that. I've never been. I want people that will be able to going to speak their mind. Hopefully, that the people that he is trying to put in a position have some integrity about them, and they're conscious. You understand what I'm saying? I think that plays a big part. But no matter if you want to put the C before the I, you know what I'm saying? And consciousness and integrity and consciousness, whatever it is, whatever works for you. But the bottom line, as long as they're willing to listen, you know, put it together, and then distribute and facilitate. But the one thing that you all said that is important leads me to the conversation that I want to have tonight about what's happening in law enforcement. Recently, NYPD just, I guess they appeared to be justifying the shooting of a man that later known to us as Kowalski Trawick. I think I'm pronouncing his name properly. And no, and I want to do that with all due respect to a person that's deceased now. That he was shot 3 times, I think, by an officer. It responded. It was later known to us that it was found out that he had some mental problems. How extensive, I don't know. They never said. But the bottom line is the video that we have here. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I put it in a link earlier. I will try to play this video on a scale that might not be really to the standard of what I want to play, but I will try to play it so people can kind of watch it and get a gist of what the conversation we're trying to have tonight about. And basically, there was a 16-year vet, African American, and then there was a 3-year vet, Caucasian officer, and he was the one that shot Mr. Trawick. Mr. Trawick was in his home. He was cooking. He was in his loungewear, we will say his shorts, when the officers got into his apartment, and they told him to put his gun down. I'm going to try to play the video for everybody real quick so they can get an idea of what really transpired during this situation. So I want everybody to kind of be abreast of what we're doing right here. Let's see if I can turn this up. And I'll turn it to you, everybody.
Man, let me tell you, it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful outside.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bill, would you like me to do it as a share screen so it covers the whole screen? Yeah. Let's do this. Let's pretend we're professionals.
Let's do that. Please.
Let's see. What? Did my screen pop up yet?
I see it. I'm going to add it right now. Good.
I see it.
Good. So everybody, this is a video from Kowalski, Trawick, and what we're talking about tonight. You got sound, Kev?
Is he muted?
Are you not getting sound? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
You're okay.
It's no sound.
Well, that's all right. Go back to it, Kev. Even though if it's no sound.
Hang on. I know in Zoom you have to click an extra buttons to get the audio.
When you bring it back, I'll try to see.
All right, we'll do that another day because they just brought up a whole lot of things. There it is. Share audio right there. Ding, ding, ding.
There you
All
go.
right.
Excellent.
There we go.
So I was just Googling this, and the Bronx DA released a multiple-page report on this. And I think it's going to be
If you
worth
don't hurry
reading.
up, we're gonna burn down.
All right, 1616 Grand Avenue. What's the fire?
Yeah.
What's the fire emergency there?
The building's on fire.
I'm actually impressed the fire department opened this door for him.
Yeah. I'm also too. Fire department didn't deem him a threat. They're entering the location.
Hold it down. Why are you? Why are you? Why are you in my home? Put it down. Why are you in my home? Put it down. Why are you in my home? Put it down.
He's got a knife.
I got a knife because I'm cooking. Put the knife down. Put it down. Put the knife. Put the knife down. I'm cooking. Put the knife down. I just called the fire department. Come down my home. Put the knife down. I thought the fire department have already been here. Put the knife down. Why did you just kick in my door? The door was open with the chain. I'm knocking the door. Put the knife down. Excuse me?
My man, drop the knife.
Why is my door?
Drop the knife.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Drop the knife.
Yeah. Just hold it.
Drop the knife.
Yeah.
Drop the knife.
Put the knife down. Put the knife down, please. Hold it. Sir. The center of the break.
Response for
it appears to be justified. They're coming at him. This guy's charging at him with a knife in one hand, a stick in the other, screaming at them in a confined space. Again, I say this quite often. Officers have to make a decision in a matter of seconds, and that's what happened here.
All right. What's up, everybody? We're back. Thank you, Kevin, for showing that. Hopefully we get time. We might show the other stuff. With that being said, let me just go on the record and first and say that the officer's actions via NYPD standards, and Kevin, I want you to chime in on this, were not wrong, right? He is justified because Mr. Tradwick had a knife and I guess a spear or some kind of stick in his hand. But my personal issue with this is that something else could have been done. When I reached out to Kevin and told him I wanted to talk about this, the first thing he said to me, it seemed like a good shooting, right? Now, Kev, let me ask you a question. When you said that, what did you mean when you felt it was a good shooting?
Well, one, I don't think I used the phrase "good shooting," but fine.
No,
what I thought was
let's go back and look at it. You said good shoot. You said good shoot.
I'm going to go back and look at it in a moment after I answer. What I liked was the senior officer took charge, right? And it was great to see how he, had his partner, put that down, stand back, hold up. He was the senior guy, and he did what he was supposed to do. He took charge of the scenario. This guy is absolutely in, mental distress. There's no question. And he's armed with a knife. He is extremely dangerous, volatile, and unpredictable in all of that fashion. Let me
ask you a question. As an officer, that's what you saw. You saw volatile, you saw distress. And what else? What was the other word did you just use?
Unpredictable. Unpredictable, I think, is a real good word with him. You don't know. This guy could have easily, went to stopping to charging and slashing. Right? Like there are times you could look at a person and you just know what they're going to do. You know it's on, or it's going to be off, kind of deal. This is not that scenario. You don't know with this guy. Like it's hard to say what he was going to do. So like I said, I like the initial officer. I have to apologize because I don't. Thompson is his name, I believe.
Yeah. Let me correct myself. You didn't say it was a good shoot. You said it was handled well. So I apologize for the terminology. Semantics, but go ahead.
Listen, these things matter, right?
All right. Yes.
Could we argue that closing the door and calling an issue for an EDP? Maybe. But is he an EDP that's going into custody at this point? Right? Like they're still trying to just talk to him to see what went on. I don't know if I have an EDP that I could take into custody. We're on the edge of it, where I could force him into a hospital at this point. We're there. He's in his home. He's a bit erratic. He does have a knife, but having a kitchen knife in your home is not unheard of in this world.
It was.
It's a tough. Well, look, I'm not going to talk to you while you're holding a knife in your hand, right? I'm with those guys. You're putting the knife down, right? There's no ends, ifs, or buts. That's not a debatable part of the conversation. That knife is going down.
And you know what? For the argument's sake, I'm going to stay with you on that. Okay, gun, knife. Listen.
We ain't talking about anything else but that weapon until it's down.
Put the weapon down. But then my thing is, They were more worried about the knife. They didn't say put the knife and the stick down.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm not shooting you for the stick. I will shoot you with the knife if you come in with the knife.
Wait a minute. The stick is longer than the knife, though.
That stick, hand to hand in that apartment, he ain't getting that hard of a swing in.
Exactly. Very good point.
That's tight, close quarters, and that's a long stick.
Exactly.
It ain't. It'll hurt.
I mean, and if you want to go back and put it up there, it's fine. We can go through it slow motion, but as otherwise than that, you don't have to. But I mean, for everybody who just saw what we're talking about, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with Kevin Branzetti, and we have our special guest tonight, Pastor Kevin Graves. He's part of the family. He's part of the Real Talk family. He's always welcome back. We're talking about.
I'd like to show you a different video. Did you watch the New York Post one? Because that one shows him charging.
Well, put it up there. Go ahead. Put it up there.
Give me a second. I'm gonna.
As he's doing that, Pastor Graves, give me your take on what you saw. We'll let Kevin do that. Mm-hmm.
Anytime a life is taken, it's tragic.
100%.
Whether it's justified or unjustified. Correct me if I'm wrong. The police officer, the 3-year veteran, he used his taser, did he not?
He used his taser and he shot. He did both.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He tased him first before he shot him, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
He tased him. It looked like they went into the apartment after he tased him.
Right.
That apparently, what I could tell, something made them run back out. So apparently that guy got back up. Like the tase must not have worked. They didn't fully hit, whatever it was, because they went in after the tase and came right back out.
Well, it's obviously he got back up.
Right.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that when we're talking about a EDP, for those who don't know what an EDP is, it's emotionally disturbed person. They always say they have the strength of 10 men or women. So the bottom line is, how good is a taser? And does a taser really work? That might be another question that we can have and talk about that later too, because the bottom line is you tase them. We've seen multiple people tase before and they still get up. So the bottom line is tasing a prelude to shooting? You understand what I'm saying? Like, is that the excuse that we can use now? Well, I tased him and he or she didn't stay down, so I shot him. So, let's get past the BS with that, because the bottom line is, if a taser does not have the strength to mobilize you, we don't want somebody to tase somebody and it's like a pinch, because it's obvious we've seen multiple times that people have been tased and they get back up. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I don't want tasing to be, like I said again earlier, a prelude to the shooting, because the bottom line is, this Officer Thompson, I don't know this individual. I don't know Officer Davis either. But the one thing I do know is that we had a 16-year vet that didn't feel the threat that Thompson felt, right? We see that the veteran officer tried to take control of the situation, but Thompson still did what he felt necessary. And I'm not going to sit here and say that what he did was wrong. It was wrong to me, because the one thing I felt like his whole thing was, yo, you got a knife, I'm gonna shoot you. And this leads me to say what a lot of times I think a lot of white officers and maybe Latin officers, I don't even know, maybe black officers feel like, yo, knife, gun, threat. I can shoot. Look, that's the absolute. There isn't any de-escalation where you see Davis was still on some like, yo, put the knife down. Yo, Thompson, put your gun away, put your taser away, put your knife down, because he still felt like he had the door as a buffer. Thompson didn't care about that, in my opinion. And like I said, let me go on record to say that, was he wrong for shooting him by police department standards? No. Because the fact that he had the knife in his hand means that he was justified. I hate saying that, because honestly, I felt he could have did more. My personal feeling as a black man, I feel like he could have did more. And I'm going on the record to say that. Go ahead, Kev.
Hey, Bill, I'm having some internet issues, and I may log off here for a second, come back in, because I can't share that screen.
All right.
I can also want to add this in, though. There's two ways of looking at that, right? You could say, you know, the younger officer was being more aggressive, and the senior guy didn't feel the threat. But maybe also he didn't feel the threat because he felt his partner was there ready to protect him.
No.
That's
speculation. It's
all speculation. That's what we're doing here.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that the one thing is one person, it's just like in anything. Man, woman, man, woman, whomever. I can't tell you what you feel, right? But the bottom line is, if I'm there with you, it's just like if somebody sees, and I'm downgrading this a lot, but it's just like if you're somewhere with a guy or girl and you see a mouse and you'd be like, and the person, you'd be like, you scared? You know what I'm saying? Because I can't tell you that you can't be scared of a mouse. You understand what I'm saying? Because because I'm not scared of a mouse or a roach or whatever it may be. You know, you take me someplace in the country and I see a deer, I might be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you'd be like, yo, it's a deer. Yeah, but it's a deer to you. But to me, it's a wild animal. You understand what I'm saying? So, but the bottom line is, if you tell me, yo, B, that deer is not bothering you, I got it. I need to listen to that for a certain extent. And if I can't, then I need to back behind you. So, you know, Pastor Graves, give me some insight on what you're talking about and what you're feeling. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Well, when we go back and we look at the footage, Officer Thompson said he's got a knife. Right. So his attention is on the knife. He's watching Mr. Kowalski, and he knows that he has a stick and he has a knife in his hand. And any officer, what's important to every officer, male or female, is that you complete your shift and get home to your family alive.
Absolutely.
And when you are faced with that type of situation, and I've never been in that situation, I don't know if this was the first time this officer drew his firearm. Maybe he drew it before. There's adrenaline. He has a knife. I know this. This is a man who's obviously in mental distress. But if he charges at me, he's going to have a problem.
Right.
So it becomes, okay, now you start playing in your mind. If he comes at us, what do I do? And it was 4 shots fired, if I'm not mistaken.
4-3.
Right. Yeah. Two hit Mr. Kowalski and 2 missed. Okay. Right. So in his mind and Officer Thompson's mind, it's a justified shooter because he came at me. He charged at us. My life was in danger and my partner's life was in danger. So I did what any reasonable person would do, and that's to defend yourself. Now, Kevin, you mentioned the Bronx District Attorney. Oh, I'm going to watch this footage.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the second, because this is a little bit different an angle.
Okay.
Response 4. I got shots fired, 16 grand. Shots fired.
Kev, can you go back a little?
It's hard.
Response 4.
Yeah, it's hard to make out the footage on Officer Thompson's body cam.
Hang on, I'm going to try something different.
Go back to the shooting again.
Can I get additional unit 16 grand? 35 unit corner over.
6 response 4. Let me get a bus rolling. We got an EDP with a knife.
Now here's my question: is it better with the small?
He just confirmed that he knew it was an EDP.
He called a bus.
I'm gonna tell you all. Yes!
Now, can you stop it right there, Kevin?
Yeah.
Does that look like a person that's charging, or that looks like a person that's upset?
He's coming forward.
So one step forward.
Semantics. He's coming.
So wait, do you see? I mean, let's all go back, and we can go back to that. Do you really see somebody charging to hurt me, or you see somebody in frustration stomping their feet coming forward? Because I see frustration. I don't see a threat. What he just said was get out of my house. He didn't say I'm coming to kick your ass.
Well, at that point, Bill, can you really pay attention to just the words? Right? He's coming at him. This is tough, right? Would I have liked to have seen the door closed earlier? Like I said, there's an argument for that. Once they went for the taser, I said to you earlier, I'm unsure if he's EDPable, meaning if we're able to force him to the hospital.
He said it at the end of the show. He said it at the end of the tape.
Once he tased them, we're at that level, right? If I'm tasing you,
let me just say this. He said, and I'm not putting words in Thompson's mouth. He said EDP. So he knew what he was.
Yeah. He requested a bus.
He requested a bus for an EDP.
After he shot him.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I'm not disputing. What I'm saying is, before the taser, I had said, I'm not sure what level we're at here. If we're at a level where we can take the man against his will and force him to the hospital, that we're right on that edge. Can we? The standard for forcing somebody is that they're a threat to themselves or others. Are we saying? Before they tase him, I don't know if we're at that standard. We're at the edge. And it's a tough judgment call, whether we're there. Once you tase them, though, you've declared you're over the edge, right? Because if I'm tasing you, I'm not tasing you to have a conversation. I'm tasing you because I'm taking you into custody, right? Right?
You're tasing him for a reason. Either
you're going into custody. Yes. Whatever the custody is going to be, you're going to the hospital. You're going to prison, right?
Yes.
You're going
somewhere. You're going somewhere though. You're leaving that apartment. Yes.
Yeah. Bill, and I hate Monday morning anybody, right? Like, because I can't tell you how I would react.
But that's what we do.
But look, I could have reacted.
You just said that to me earlier. That's what we do. That's what we're here to do.
100%. Would I have liked to have seen either one of them then after the tase and they back out, close that door? And they might have tried to, because that was a rush out, right? Like that was not a tactical slow backing out. That was.
You think that was a rush out?
The two of them rushed out after they tased him. Went in. They both rushed back out.
He still had a knife in his hand. That's why they backed away.
And I get that. And Pastor, I want you to stay with me because I'm playing devil's advocate with this. And I'm glad that's why we have, three minds that are great thinkers, right? What I saw, if it was a rush out, why didn't the 16-year vet pull out his gun? The 16-year vet. Hold on, Kev.
Why didn't he close the door?
Wait a minute. He had the door. He had the door. And that's why we can play this over and over again, because the bottom line is we're Monday morning quarterback in this situation. The bottom line is, like I said, I say this, I go on record saying this. For everybody that's listening, from NYPD standards, law enforcement standards, Officer Thompson is not wrong in what he did. Mm-hmm. As much as that hurts me to say that, do I think he could have done other tactics to prevent shooting and killing this man? Absolutely. And that's my issue with this, because when you have one officer that practices discretion and able to feel a certain way to pacify the situation, and you have another officer that escalates it, it's a slippery slope. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And we're in this era of we're talking to fund the police, and I'm going to argue we need extra funds for the police because we are not tactically trained properly. Right? When we've talked about this, Bill, I am not a firearms expert. I have a firearm.
Right.
I am not a firearm expert. I train twice a year.
Yeah, neither am I.
Right. That's the equivalent of, me training twice a year in Taekwondo and then deciding at the end of this year I'm going to compete in a tournament.
Exactly.
I'm going to get my butt handed to me in 11 seconds?
Exactly.
We don't. We're not, training up. And I'm trying to think of, I tried to think of it earlier today, Bill, because it's been, it's almost 3 decades since I was in the academy. Right. We train about when we can shoot. And this is the point you're bringing up. Do we train about when we can shoot, but still avoid it? We're legally allowed to shoot. I'm legal, but it doesn't mean I have to shoot.
And that's
are we
my point.
Training in that? I know and your point's valid, right? The point is there, but are we training in that? I don't remember, and if anybody out there remembers, that is part of our firearms training.
Kev, but your point right there to say that I can't train a person for what's in their heart. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but we train.
Let me just say this: if you're scared, you can't train fear.
But Bill, there's a difference. I don't think that officer, the two of them were still very calm. After the shooting, that was very calm.
But one being calm.
Petrified and
go ahead.
Being in fear is fine. There should always be a point in your life where you're in fear, right? Like I'm in fear plenty of times, and I want to end that fear very quickly. I don't have to end it by killing anybody, hopefully, ever. But I want to end that fear. But fear exists. I don't think either officer acted overly emotional. So I've seen people who were scared and terrified, and were running from instances. We worked with cops who were running, going, it's over there. I didn't take that kind of fear. Do I wish this guy was alive? And do I think we could do this better and have this guy alive? Yeah, I do.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring Pastor Graves, and I want Kevin Graves to give his thoughts on this. I just want to read some comments right now, real quick. Delcina said, "My brother has mental issues, but thank God we had great in New York police officers." She says, "My younger brother is mentally challenged, and thank God we had great NYPD officers who came to our aid. He is not healthy and living in an assisted living housing. There were 8 NYPD officers who came along with EMS. I feel for the family and the officers. You can't force a mental patient to go, and it is tough. It's a tough call. My older brother was an NYPD, and at the time, so we mentioned that. Not sure if that helped. It could have. Did not look like he was coming towards anyone. He was running away." Kinshir said, "Yes, other options, not always killing, especially when it seems like it's other people who are being killed." Absolutely. Pastor Graves, give me some.
Yes, sir.
What do you take on what Kevin and I are talking about? What did you see? What are you feeling? Now you're coming from different aspects. You're coming from the African American aspect. You're coming from a pastoral aspect. You're coming from a person that works with NYPD on a lot of situations. So please just give us some insight, and then Kev, I'll let you pick it up, brother. Good.
Someone who is in distress, emotionally distressed, they're unpredictable. Their body motions, what may appear to be them charging you, may just be frantic movements, movements that were maybe even voluntary movements, involuntary movement. Just the whole situation was chaotic when you're dealing with someone who is in emotional distress. And I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback and say, well, they should have done this, they should have done that. As Bill and Kevin, as I shared with you before, I had the privilege of joining the NYPD Civilian Police Academy. We've done simulations on, we're cops, we respond to a burglary, we go into a warehouse, we see perpetrators back to us, we announce who we are, perpetrator doesn't turn around, to finally he does turn around, but he does it quickly, he has a gun, so We have seconds to make a decision on what to do. So this is very difficult work. That's my point here. Policing is stressful. It is thankless work at times. And I can't imagine what that must have felt like for Officer Thompson, because he took a life. He was doing his job. He adhered to what he was trained to do as a police officer, but he still took a life, and he has to live with that. So now, can you imagine what he's feeling and what he has to do? Now, the man who he killed has a family. He has a family, and I'm sure he'll be missed. He has friends and family. I'm sure he'll be missed. So this is tragic all the way around. And as we were talking about earlier, Bill, why are we still having this conversation? Why is this important? We're not saying, and this is for all the viewers, we're not saying that Black folks don't commit crimes. Yes, we do. And that's why when Black folks commit crimes, they should be brought to justice. So why are we still having these conversations? We are referring to the history of police brutality, not a few isolated incidents now. The history. Since we as Africans came into this country, we were a disenfranchised people. We have been struggling for freedom, equality, and justice since we got here. So, and I don't expect people who aren't Black to understand. If you're not Black, you're not going to feel me. You're not going to hear what I'm saying because you're not Black. I get it. But what I am saying, and this is not that someone who's white, Kevin, or someone else, can't feel empathy, because there are many people who are non-Black who feel empathy towards the Black struggle here in the United States. And someone may say to me, well, what kind of racism have you experienced? Well, the racism that we experience here in the United States is not colored white. It's not like it was 55, 60 years ago. The racism that we're seeing today is more subliminal and systemic in nature, where it can affect you if you are not alert in the area of housing, education, and also employment. This is what's been ingrained in our society. And I'm going to say this in closing. And I want folks to listen to this song. When you get an opportunity, there's 2 renditions of it. Strange Fruit, sung by Nina Simone and Billie Holiday. I personally love the Nina Simone rendition of it because she's a great storyteller, and it really, really did something to me. It made me cry, and it also opened my eyes to what Africans have gone through in this country, and in many cases are still going through. I'll stop there. I'll yield back my time.
No, you don't have to stop at all, brother. That's why you're here on the show. Appreciate your insight and stuff like that. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, and our special family member host, Pastor Kevin Graves. He's always welcome to be with us at anytime he wants on topics like this. And I asked him to come at late minute, and I appreciate him being able to have a conversation with us and give us some insight and give us some a perspective from a person that's done some kind of training, simulation, but a perspective, because the bottom line is you have one officer. And Kev, let me see can you pull up that other video of the white man in the car and the white officers, and see if you could bring that up while I say that. Yeah, go ahead. So I can't tell anybody or I can't gauge anybody for what's in their veins, the fear or the non-fear, or what makes someone scared. What I do see from that video is that what was deemed a threat to one, what was accelerated as a fear for another. You understand what I'm saying, Pastor Graves? And what?
Yes, sir.
As Kevin works on that, I'm gonna converse with you. I know as he's listening.
Yes.
What Officer Thompson, as I have to commend both of them for having a very monotone reaction to the situation.
Yes.
But what ran through a person's mind, it was totally different. You have one officer that was still willing to engage verbally, where another officer felt like his threat was, I'm not even going to even play with this guy. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm, I
Wrong or
do.
right?
Why didn't he follow the lead of the superior officer, the one who had more years in training? Because he's done this longer and I've only been on the job for 3 years. Why don't I fall in line with his example? Good
Exactly.
question. That's a very good
You
question.
know, and this is what my thing is, because Officer Davis, I hold him and no fault. He didn't shoot anybody. It was Officer Thompson, the one that shot somebody. And now I'm not. But you know what's so funny? Here's Officer Thompson, and this is no disrespect to my white friends and my white officers that I've worked with, but you have a black man, you have a black senior officer, and you have a white officer for 3 years, and the white officer is the one that's doing the shooting. Now, would we even have this conversation if it was the black officer doing the shooting? I don't know, right? But the one thing I
This
do
is
know is that.
what.
Go ahead, please.
No, I'm sorry. This is, and this is where the media comes in as well, because we have to understand whether it's CNN, it's Fox News, it's the local channels here in New York. When we hear black man shot by LAPD, NYPD, Wisconsin police, news at 11 or news at 5, that gets people's attention. What
Absolutely.
is going on now? What happened this time? And the media does feed on it. Now, is it the media's fault? Absolutely not. Because the media does is actually expose. Because where would we be if not for someone videotaping what happened to Rodney King back in, what was that, 91, 92?
Yes.
If it wasn't for someone with a video camera, maybe we would have never known what took place on that highway. And that was the beginning of people taping incidents regarding police. And I want to say this too. I love the NYPD, but what I have an issue with is whenever a cop does something and we don't hold that cop or cops accountable, that is where the problem is. There has to be some form of accountability. So you can say, yeah, I back the blue, but when the blue gets out of line, I'm stepping back. You need to fix that. You need to get yourself in order. So what I have experienced on Zoom calls is there are some people, I mean, they bleed the blue and they say, and if you don't back the blue, then you're against the blue. That's foolishness. So you mean to tell me, let's say you have a child and you don't spank that child and that child starts to run wild. You are responsible because you did not say, you know something, you're out of line, and this is the discipline that you're going to have to be faced with. Absolutely. The reason why we're talking about accountability is because we love the blue and we're backing them, but at the same time, when the blue is out of line, we have to call it for what it is and say, you're out of line. And when a cop does something that is unjustified, or if a police officer is involved in corruption, we have to call them out.
Yes.
Why? Because it hurts other officers if we don't. Blue wall of silence. Oh, no, see no evil, hear no evil. None of my business. I just want to get home to my family. Well, you know what? You're part of the problem now. Well, so I'm going. So this it's a generational curse.
Very much so.
That's what it is. It's been passed down from generation to generation, and you have some police officers who genuinely love to protect and serve and want to make a difference in the community. But as I tell all my cops, I say, you know something? And I asked them one question. I said, why do you want to do this? Can't be for the money, right? Why do you want to be a police officer? Serve and protect, make a difference in the community. Great answers. But do you know that you are carrying the burden of what cops have done in years previous, and you had nothing to do with it. And guess what? Welcome to my life and welcome to my world. You are now judged because of the color, because you wear blue. And people, why don't they love us? Why don't they back us? How come they don't love? Why is it that the community doesn't seem to want to work with us? Because the community, many of us are in trauma. We don't trust cops. Why do we trust cops? Are you a lawbreaker? No. Because many of us have either gone through trauma or have seen incidents where police have committed crimes or were involved in corruption and they weren't prosecuted. They got off. And people are saying, I don't trust the judicial system, and I don't trust those who work for the judicial system, like the police officers, so or who are part of the system. And this is where people are dismayed, they're angry, they're bitter, and they don't want to work with community partners like myself. Some, not all, because of fear and distrust. And that's my job, is to bridge that gap.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to read a comment. I'm going to let you come in, Kev. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my partner, my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, and our family co-host, Pastor Kevin Graves. We are talking about police brutality. We're talking about Kowalski Trawick, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't want to do any disharm to him or disrespect any family member or anybody that's viewing this that might know him. I apologize if I didn't pronounce it properly. We were just trying to converse about what we saw from two different perspectives, two officers that have been in the street, giving you two eyes from two different ethnicities, and then having Pastor Graves give his insight on what he felt, what he saw from doing certain trainings, working with the NYPD. I want to read James's comment. He says, too many officers have the proper temperament, do not, I guess he meant to say, do not have the proper temperament to escalate situations. Starting out as a transit PD officer, we work alone. Radios didn't always work. So first and foremost, we learned to do everything possible to de-escalate techniques to control a situation, because you never know how long it would take for the cavalry to come. Absolutely. I said that. That was my word. Absolutely. There's no initial empathy. These officers are everyone, especially Black people, as a threat first and foremost. Kev, I don't know if you're able to get that other video up, because
it's not showing. I'm hitting the share. I don't know why it's not. You don't see it, correct?
Should I come out the main screen and try it again? Hold on, let me see. You can yeah, there it is. See. Let's see. All right, everybody, let's watch this video and see what y'all think of this. Let me see if I can go full screen with this.
Just keep an eye on it. Just get there. Just reset. Put your hands on the ceiling. No. What are you reaching for? Oh, whoa. Hey, get out of the car, man. You got a gun right there. Whoa. Get out of the car. There are rights to this. Get out. Hold up right there. It's open. My hands are up. Oh, no, you got. This is on body cam. You have body cam, sir.
Put your hands over your eyes.
Do you have body cam? Body cam, sir.
Put your hands over your eyes.
Yeah,
I will send this dog on you.
I will shoot you if you do.
Don't
grab my gun. You have rights. Put your hands. You have rights too. You have rights too.
Don't you dare.
You have rights. You cannot shoot me here.
You
this is unconstitutional. You know that.
Right. You have a weapon, okay?
Yes, I do. And it's
don't.
What I need you to do. Hey, you can. This is also a body cam request. Can you quit yelling so I can talk to you? You have a gun for me, right now. I need you to relax for me. I will shoot you if you discuss. If that's a threat, so open that. You have no body cam. You know this. He has a My hands are open. You need to get out of the car so we can remove you from that weapon. You cannot. No, it is constitutionally owned. I see that. You have a concealed carry permit. It is not concealed. Yes, you can see the weapon. It's right there.
Don't do it.
Okay. What are you afraid of? Don't do it. I'm not doing anything.
Do me a favor. Just please step out of the car. That's all we're asking you to do.
Oh, you're asking me out.
Yes.
Conceal your weapons, please.
No.
This is how we act civilly. This is not how we act civilly. You know
Sir.
this. Right eye. Right eye. You got cover?
No.
Yes, we do.
Don't.
Just please. You have body cam. Please. You have body cam. Do
not. Don't.
Do it. Don't. You know that. That's not
Please.
I need you to get out of the car.
Get out.
Hey, I see double blue, sir. You're gonna shoot me on double blue?
Just relax.
No, just relax. Hey,
please get out of the car.
There's rights to this. You know there are rights to this.
Listen, we can figure this out.
We can talk about this, okay? But right now, we can't talk about it with you not listening to us.
Just,
you are first of the drivers.
All I'm asking you to do.
You're violating my rights right now. Let go of me.
You just put your hand on a gun,
sir.
Whoa! No, you pulled a gun on me unconstitutionally.
Please.
And I did my in response.
We don't want to do this, man.
Just get out of the car. I'm just asking. We'll get this figured out. Just come out and just get out of the car.
You released me now.
You can't do that.
Release it. I have 7 Amendment rights, David.
Okay. Just get come back here. We'll talk about it.
This right here is the reason
we'll
get myself cast doctrine. You know that.
We'll get this figured out. Don't do it. Please. Just come on.
Get out of the car.
Just get out of the car. Just step out.
The gun's down.
No, just step out. Just step out of the car.
Can either of you see the gun?
Don't do it.
Where is it?
Get out of the car.
You're on double blue. You know what's going to happen, right?
Just stop.
You need to get out of the car. That's a lawful order. You're going to go to jail.
A gunpoint. Oh, take me to jail. Go ahead.
Just come on.
You're obstructing.
I can't.
No, you're obstructing. You're pointing a gun at me, sir. Right now, my life's in threat.
Okay. Well, we have.
I don't see body cam on this, sir. I'm just going to drive away. I'm not going to bother anybody.
No, you're
Hands
not.
on the seat.
Don't do this. Don't do it. Don't.
All right, Kev, I'm going to go to you first because you know that should piss me off. Now, we watch one man in his house with a knife. Now, 2 different officers, 4 different officers. I get it, right? But you know what everybody's going to say? He got white privilege. And how the hell you're not threatened with a man with a gun giving you all that verbiage, telling you what you should do, and you're pacifying the situation, but a man with a knife in his house that you went to in his damn underwear, his shorts, just asking you to close the door.
Let's leave the other story out. Let's just.
I'm just telling you
compare different cops and people.
Yeah, but what I'm just trying to explain to you is that why people of color get mad. Can you understand that aspect of what
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
All right, so, okay, let's go to this video then. Go ahead, let's go to this video.
So, I am, Bill, that's terrible police work. You know, no ends, ifs, or buts. Did you actually see the gun? I mean, I know there's a gun in there. Right? I have no doubt. Was it on his lap? Was it next to him?
I have no idea.
I didn't see it. I
know one thing. It was in the lunchable area because he touched it.
Oh, yeah, no question. He had a gun because he said he had a gun and he said he'd shoot them. Right? I got no. There is no way.
If you talk about shooting me, I'm going to shoot you.
It's pretty close at that point, though, right? Like, might I pull out something else at that point?
You just listen. If you tell me you're going to shoot me, that's a threat.
That's yeah, 100%, Bill. If they shot him, they're justified, right? Like they're fine.
Yes.
I understand trying that your darndest not to shoot and kill somebody. I'm with them on that, right?
Wait a minute.
We just talked about that.
Stay with me now. You're with that there, but you're not with that on the other one.
No, I said that with the other one.
No, you didn't.
Oh, absolutely did.
Okay, all right. Then I stand corrected.
I talked about that. That's the training we're missing. I mean, we're not doing well.
I stand corrected. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries. No worries. That's twice tonight. Just saying.
Yeah, you know, I just want to make sure.
Ever since you realized that wasn't your name on the screen, you've been a little off. So
yeah, that's
the African American community. I'm not going to speak for an entire.
I'll take that.
I'm not going to speak for an entire community, but what the Black community and the communities of color are referring to is the double standard.
Right.
How is it that an individual like the young man Rittenhouse can carry a long gun, right, and literally walk down the street towards law enforcement, had his hands raised, But here's a young man who shot a couple of people and is allowed to walk down the street. No one said, freeze, get on the ground. None of that. He walked towards law enforcement and like nothing has happened. Like, so now could I get away with that? Could Bill get away with that? Could a black person get away with that in this country? I don't think so. I think it's highly unlikely. This is the double standard that we're talking about here in America, that the scales of justice aren't equal for everyone. And what people are, and when we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and when we say I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are people in this country that are saying that does not apply to them. The justice for all, the liberty. And that bothers me. And if I'm a politician, if I'm a community partner, I want folks to say, why don't you feel as if you have a voice in this country? Why do you feel that justice is not for you in this country? Why do you feel that way? So this is where it's coming from, and people don't understand this, and they say, "Oh, all you do is complain about the police." But what if they weren't around? No, I'm not saying they should go anywhere. I want the police in my community. But what we're saying is, can we talk about the dark side of policing? Can we talk about the fact that it's not perfect, that it's flawed, that there are times when police get away with things that the ordinary individuals or civilians could not get away with? Can we talk about the dark side of this? We love the police, but at the same time, you have some cops who are racist. Period.
Right.
But we don't.
100%.
But
I'm with
there's
you.
something about us that doesn't want to acknowledge that. We're like saying, no, if this man was killed, he had it coming, or it was justified, without an investigation. And this is what we are confronted with here in the United States.
Pastor, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I am on your side with that. I don't. I will defend, and Bill knows. I say it all the time. I bleed blue. I will be a cop until the day I'm done, right, in this world. But it doesn't mean I will not say when I think we're wrong, and it doesn't mean that And you and I may disagree about when we're wrong, and I believe we're wrong. That's conversation. But I'm not going to sit here and I like to think I don't back anything or anybody blindly and try to look at situations. I do have a different set of eyes and a different history and my own different prejudices. So I will see things a little bit different, but I don't, look at it that way. And like I said, there are times I will say we were wrong. There are a lot of times, more often than I say we were wrong, I say I wish we would have done that better. We could have done it better. We should be trained to do it better. Yeah. But going back to those two cops on the side of the road, I don't understand what they're doing. Like I said, I get the try not to kill. I get you don't want to kill the man. I get it.
Yeah, what'd you say? You don't understand what they're doing?
Yeah, but that guy doesn't get away. Like they let him
control the whole narrative.
His verbal judo was better than theirs. And he's scared. No. Now, he threw out some phrases, and I want to re-listen to it because there was like blue something, red something. He threw out some phrases, and one of those are, like the anti-government, movement phrases. There was some
dog whistle politics.
Yeah, there was some very distinct phrases in there. There's that part of the population that doesn't believe in the government, law enforcement whatsoever, and sovereign citizens. It sounded a little. That was kind of what I was getting at, which to me is an extreme danger, right? As a cop, right? There is no person more dangerous than a sovereign citizen to a law enforcement officer. That's who kills more law enforcement officers on percentage wise than anybody else out there. So that's something I would, you always listen for. And I'd like to research some of those phrases. But that guy should not have made it out of there. Could he made it out of there alive? Sure. But Bill, one of those hands was gotten out of him.
I'd have lit him up.
That man is getting dragged out of that car or lit up. But
Let me tell you something.
they
There was
let
ever
him
a time
control.
when and this is the whole thing when a lot of times, Kevin, I think when and I'm going to try and speak for the masses, even though I can't.
It's never stopped you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think with if people of color saw that same scenario with people of color, I mean, from officers dealing with people of color, they would be like, "Yo, I got you, NYPD." You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect your game. When we see that one video, even though that may have been one video, but the countless videos that we have seen of a white person giving verbiage back to an officer to the highest of festivity, and an officer trying so hard to practice de-escalation. But when it comes to a person of color, and not this one officer is not accountable for the other officer, but his skin tone seems to represent every officer of that color. You know what I'm saying, Kev?
So here's it's tough, Bill. There are 800,000 cops in this country with millions and millions of interactions. We see less than 1/1,000,000th of a percentage.
Yes, we do.
And I've challenged you week after week of find me the video of the cop killing the white guy. I can't find them. And we know the cops killed white people too.
What we did find is the video of the white guy
because this video sells. Because this video sells. Do I think there are videos out there of this scenario with a black man in the car? I think they exist.
I don't.
I think that there are incidents, and the one I always throw at you, I can name off the top of my head, was the incident in the Bronx precinct where the guy came in shooting. No cop shot him back. They got him, right? They didn't kill him. He came in there shooting. He was a black man. Those incidents exist. I don't know on what scale. I can't give you that.
So then you can't say they exist because one time
no,
incident doesn't mean
just because there's millions of interactions. There's no way it doesn't exist, Bill. There are also how many black men are in jail who possessed a gun at the time of their arrest? They're alive. They're in jail.
Yes.
There's a lot of them.
I know that for a fact.
Okay,
I've apprehended those. Yes.
Somehow they survived. We didn't kill them. I'm not saying these things aren't, and I'm not saying race, because race absolutely plays into some of this. There's no question race plays into some things. And it's how you see people. Sometimes you're an out and out racist, and sometimes it's just, it's part of dehumanizing, and you don't see the person. But race clearly plays into everything. There's no way it doesn't. I'm just saying that I am sure that exists. Do I think it's equal? No. Do I think it's
disproportionate? Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, I do. Do I think we all have to be better and be trained better and smarter? And yes, and yes.
So let me ask you a question, and I'll let Pastor come in too on this. I just want to read a statement from Mark. He said, "It's always been constantly not in our favor for years. Both videos show piss people off, but sadly, people out of here don't have the compassion for black-skinned folks. Sad, but even so true." And I think that was the moral of the story. Now, Kev, I don't know if you can show the video of the black man getting shot by the two officers. I think I sent you that one. If not, I'll send it to you. I want to show.
You got to give me more of a description than that.
So it was the guy. They two officers pulled a black man over on the highway, and he reached for the gun. Now he deserved to get shot, and what I wanted to show 3 different scenarios that we showed where and this all, I guess the moral of all these videos is that policing is really a personal situation, because the bottom line is, even though they fall under the guidelines, and Pastor Graves, let me know what your take is on this. They fall under the guidelines. You have you had two officers that a white officer shot a black man, and I have to say the white officer because I can't say just an officer, because the bottom line is it might have been fair to say if both officers shot. Well, the fact that one officer shot and the other one didn't will always be a problematic for me. You have another video, we have two white officers with a white man and they don't shoot, right? So you got this white man giving you all this verbiage, talking this and that. Like, he didn't even get a gun butt to the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you got a gun in your car and you're telling me you're going to shoot me? He didn't even get hit. There wasn't any signs of any police brutality, anything. And he tells you, I'm going to drive off, and drives off. Like, listen, there were so many levels of, I can shoot you, I can hit you. And they did neither nor. The last video that, if Kevin can pull up, is what I want to see. I'll come out to the main screen and see if you can pull it up. Is of a black man. He's a bad dude, and he deserves to get shot. And everybody, we're going to go to this video right now.
You might have to switch it. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
You stay back. It's just him. Okay, cool. Hey, come over here though. You gotta turn around though, dude. Hey, look it. Turn around. Why are you running, dude? Sir, don't move, please. Can you finish me, please? No. 5, 6, 7, 10, come, kid. You get a 55 shots fired. Shots fired.
Did you hear him ask, can you finish me, please?
Go back up again.
And turn around. Go to stand up and turn around. You're not gonna get shot. Go to turn around. You're not. Put your hands up. Put your hands up, man. Come back towards me.
Walk backwards.
If you want to, walk towards us. You're not gonna get shot. Today you're going home. Come on. Walk towards us.
Just walk backwards.
Walk backwards.
Huh?
We need you to get down so we can put you in cuffs safely.
We can cuff you up.
Safely.
Back up.
Sarge, can I borrow your taser? Please stay back. Just him. Okay, cool. Hey, come over here though. Hey, look it. Why are you running, dude? Sir, don't move, please. No. 5, 6, 7, 10, come, kid. You get a 55 shots fired. Shots fired.
All right, Kev. Yeah. Now, let me say this from a African American standpoint, and being prior law enforcement. He deserved it, and the thing is, I think we've seen 3 videos that have shown us policing is going to be different no matter whom you are. The one thing is, I'm going to say this to every white officer or every officer out there: just because a person is black or brown doesn't mean you drop your guard. And just because I'm going to say this to every white officer out there, or Latin officer or black officer, just because a person's black doesn't mean you need to shoot first, and they don't have any discretion. Pastor Graves, what's your thoughts on this?
Oh, wow. Like I said, I've never been in this position where I have had to confront someone. I certainly have not been a police officer, so I don't know what it's like. But I will say this. There are some people, whoever they are, white, black, Hispanic, who once they are stopped by police, their heart starts beating. Why? Because they become afraid. They're afraid. They don't know what's going to happen. They've heard bad things. They've seen what has happened to some people when the police have stopped them. Or maybe they're not from this country. Maybe they're here for the first time, and back in their country, the police were corrupt, or they were involved in all sorts of brutality. So there are people who have legitimate fear of the police, not because they've broken the law, but because of what they've read about, have seen on television, or maybe what they've have experienced in the country that they've come from, and now they're here in the United States. Yes.
Pastor, let me interject for a second. I
Yes,
think there really isn't anyone who gets stopped by the police today, white, black, whomever your ethnicity is, that doesn't have your blood pressure doesn't rise a little, your anxiety doesn't take up another notch, just on the simple fact that you're being stopped by law enforcement. You know, you could be Jane or John Q. Public, and I'm talking about good Jane or John Q. Public, not the Babyface Nelson or the Bonnie and the Clydes. I'm talking about some, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about just somebody getting pulled over, Pastor, you and your wife or whomever, and you're Pastor Graves. But the bottom line is, we don't know what that officer is feeling. Just like you said, you don't know the temperature of the person being that has been pulled over. We don't know the temperature of the officer that's pulled over, because the only thing that we see is the blue uniform, and or the blue uniform across the country, or whatever, or gray, or whatever uniform it is. And the thing is that I've seen a lot of officers, and I'm saying this, I'm going on the record, and I'm saying I've seen a lot of officers that I know are scared to death do this job. And Kev, you let me know if you agree or disagree with that. That just because they got this job does not mean that they are a good officer. And let me tell you something: their fear will perpetuate a situation and escalate it instead of de-escalate it. And their personal prejudices will change a whole scenario. Go ahead, Pastor. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you for sharing that, because it's important. And once we get to know the individual, for example, we're pulled over. No, oh my goodness, why am I pulled over? So what do we do automatically? We put our hands on the steering wheel. Officer approaches our vehicle, right, from the passenger. Well, actually, they approach from both sides. But I have to roll down my driver's side window. Hello, officer. So do you know why? And then they'll say, well, do you know why we stopped you? No, I don't. Have a polite conversation, respectful conversation. Let me see your driver's license and registration, please. No problem. Now, that's something we teach. I share with the officers at the 3-2. This is something that we need to talk about. What should we do as a black person? And also for our young black people, our young black men and women. If you are stopped by the police while driving, whether you're walking down the block, you're stopped, what do you do? Because automatically the adrenaline starts to flow. Like, what did I do? What's going to happen now? And now you may say that there are some within the white community that may have this concern as well, but we're specifically talking about black community because this is what we're seeing. And this is what has been a historical problem, is what do I do? I don't want to be a loudmouth. I don't want to be disrespectful. Officer, how are you? At the same time, I don't want to be disrespectful. I should be respectful, but I also should know my rights. And that's what a lot of us need to know. Do we know our rights as citizens, whether you're black or not? You should know your rights. So if you're stopped, you know exactly what your rights are. And the officer will also let him know, hey, I'm not a novice. I know what my rights are, so on and so forth. I'll stop there.
And it's so funny, and I'll ask both of you this. Shout out to Brian Davis in the building, former NYPD, former 2A brother. He said this is always personal policing where privileged people can leave with their lives because police officers won't shoot other privileged people. I would definitely look at that after the show, brother. Brian. You know, when we start analyzing these situations, you know, it's really a tough call, um, because officers do things within the guidelines, but like Pastor, like God forbid, like you're traveling with your loved ones and you get pulled over and you get verbally abused, and you're coming from a man of a cloth, and uh, a liaison for the department, and you get pulled over and you still can get verbally reprimanded. Like where do we go from this? I think there's a question that I think what's happening now, and Spike Lee is coming out with a movie in regards to law enforcement. A person loses his son to law enforcement, and he takes the law in his own hand. I'm sure I'm sure law enforcement across the world will just picket Spike Lee for this, because they just feel like he is starting the fire. But what's so funny? I think a lot of people of color will definitely understand, and even white people that are for a certain justice will stand up for this. But when do we, as people, as men, not just understand, comply, but also understand, like, wait a minute, now you're asking me to just submit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking
Yes.
about humble. I'm talking about submit. Go ahead, Kevin. I know you wanted to chime in on that. Go ahead.
Oh, which one?
No, I'm talking Branzetti.
Okay.
So I don't know if you asked the question in the end there, but if we're talking about being stopped and having an argument with the officer, if the officer's a jackass, right? Racist jackass. I don't care what term we want to use or what he might be. In the end, we all have to just listen and submit at that moment, and you do something afterwards. If you're going to fight it on the scene, I don't know how you win that fight.
Kev, both Kevins, let me tell you a story. I don't know if I told you before. I never forget, I was with my uncle, and we were going down near Lincoln Center. Because there's so many different traffic regulations and changes now. You can't go on 10th Avenue or 8th Avenue. You got to make a left. You can't make a left here. So we're near Lincoln Center, and if I'm coming off of Columbus, now supposedly you can't make the left. They want you to go straight. So a car in front of me makes the left turn, right? No, I think I made the left turn first against the traffic sign, unbeknown to me. The car behind me makes the left turn. Black man, baseball cap to the side, got my uncle in the car, driving a high-end car. Man right behind me makes the same turn. White man, driving a Saab. I remember that. Cop comes out of nowhere, pulls me over, right? Out of the 2-0. So he comes up. So he's like, license, registration. So I say, how you doing, officer? What did I do? As I'm reaching for my identification. He said he went straight from license, registration to an authoritative position, like, how dare you question me? Right? So I'm like, okay. So now I show him my credentials, and he says to me, damn, I should have pulled the other car over. I said, yes, you should have. Right? I said, how do you feel now? Right? I said, do you want me to go with you to pull him over now? He's like, no, I can't. Exactly. But the bottom line is, all I can think about, if I was just John Q. Public, I was getting a ticket, right? I was getting a ticket maybe regardless, but I was getting a ticket even more because I asked him. And when I asked him, what did I do? He took it to another level. And you know what's so funny? I hate punk cops. I go on the record. I say I want to punch a lot of punk cops in the face. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's not necessary. And I think, Kev, let me just say this. I think that's what people of color have a problem with. Like, yo, do your job, but don't be disrespectful. Don't make me feel less of a man. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Bill, I'm with you on that. And I remember, like, I think that was an old school cop mentality, right? Like, because there's not one cop who does that. It's a lot of cops who have that. You can't, if I question you on why you pulled me over, that cop is going to get mad. Now, pulling you over instead of the sob was the right move. You did it first. So I'm with him on that.
Okay.
I think you should have been pulled over. You did it first. He grabbed you, so that I have no issue with. The attitude, no, he's wrong. And law enforcement, NYPD, needs to do more stings internal, just to test.
But you know what's so funny?
On their toes.
Let me just say something, and I can co-sign the pulling me over too. But the bottom line is, before he came out to come after me, the saw pulled out in front of him. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, wait a minute, the traffic infraction was done right again in front of you. So
but I think pulling over the first car is the right move. Because the second car has more of a complaint of, I was just following, I didn't realize I followed. I thought it was okay. That guy did it, right?
I get it. Infraction is an infraction, though.
It's not, that's, if you were the one behind, I would have a little more issue with the story.
Okay.
That's just my thought on it. But I'm with you on.
You're like the cop angel. You always find a silver lining. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. When they need to put on a silver dollar, they need to put a police angel. They need to put a picture of Kevin Branzetti. He's always going to find a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, yo, I just want to put some wings behind your back. You and Gabriel. You know what I'm saying?
But this is the whole point why we talk. Because there are times you've changed my mind on things too. You've made me look at it a different perspective, and we have to have these conversations.
Yeah, I ain't mad at you.
And we're doing it publicly, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. And there are times you've had me in my chair squirming a little, going, where am I going with this, and who's going to hate me tomorrow? But I'm just going to say it the way I think it.
No, and I appreciate it, and that's what I want, because the bottom line is the one thing about Real Talk Chronicles to me. And that's why I try to. I can try to reach out and get all the name brand people I want, but the one things I try to get people that will keep it authentic and keep it organic, because I don't want fluff. I want somebody to say something that I don't agree with. I want somebody to tell me their opinion. And the one thing about Real Talk Chronicles, there isn't any opinion that's wrong. It's your opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's just conversation, trying to find a solution to something. Right here, the three of us are not just yet. Like my man said in the movie, right now, we haven't been pulled to the table to sit down and talk to the powers that be that can make change. Hopefully in 2021, that might work. Of course, I'm working on some things behind the scenes, and it's important that we bring the table, not just from the one thing, not just from a black ear, a Latin ear, or a white ear, from an ear that's going to be, collectively, conscious for all. The one thing is, if I sit here and just talk about what's good for brown people, then I'm excluding white people. And if you're going to then just talk about what's good for white people, you know what I'm saying? Or pastor, you go there and just talk about what's good for the Bible, it ain't going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? Because there needs to be somebody to go there to hold everybody accountable and give some insight, because let me tell you something, not everybody is going to find a happy median to what anybody says. No matter what I say, you say, Kevin, or you, Pastor. So everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. I have my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, in the building. I have my family co-host, Pastor Kevin Graves, in the building. Mark said, why didn't he just pull over you both over? He could have. I mean, but you know what?
I'm trying to think if I ever did a double car stop. It's not a simple. It's not a simple move.
You might have did that. You, Eddie, and Leahy might have did some shit like that. Yeah, might have did.
You know, did I ever do them on foot? Yeah, you know,
exactly.
Like,
See, that's
when
what
they
I'm
tell
trying
you
to
don't
say.
do them on foot. Yeah,
exactly. So Pastor, like just from what the videos you saw, give us some insight. What do you take from the videos? You know, I mean, I'm going to use it as a closing remarks, but I'm just going to say, what's your take on all the 3 videos you saw? Give us some insight. Take your time, because I'm not going to rush you off. You know what I'm saying? Because we are ahead of schedule, but we're doing great, and I appreciate you for coming on short notice. And your insight is a blessing to us all, and I appreciate you as a friend and somebody that you and I, when we talk on the phone, we throw things at each other, and we as they say, we chop it up good. So I appreciate you for being with us tonight, and I know it was a pleasant surprise for Kevin. You know what I'm saying? Because it was great. So Pastor, yeah, just give us some insight on what you've seen tonight and in summation, what you feel.
Well, in summation, I'll just say, well, number one, it's always a pleasure being with you, Bill, being with you, Kevin. Thank you so much for the invitation. I also will say that based on the footage that I have seen, and I'm sure there's more footage, we still have some work to do with regards to the NYPD shooting of Mr. Kwasaki. Hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly as well. Tragic. He was an emotionally distressed person. I wish the end result wouldn't have been him losing his life. But the unpredictable nature of what was going on there caused this officer to have to make a decision to fire his weapon. He shot him with the taser. Apparently, that wasn't good enough, and he felt that he needed to shoot this man in order to secure what was going on there. Very tragic, very tragic. And my heart goes out to the young man's family. The last one that we saw was, well, I guess they have to go back to the police academy and get some more education on how to control that situation. That was very unfortunate. Under different circumstances, maybe in a different state, that driver may have gotten himself shot or worse. So that was very unfortunate. Certainly, if I'm those officers' commanding officer, I would ask them to, number one, go in for additional training because they did not control the situation very well there. As far as the man who was shot by the U.S. Marshal, who was believed to have a sandwich, they believed he had a gun. Again, tragic. Police work is very difficult. Police work is very difficult. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have all the answers because I don't. But what I can say is that I will do my best to work with local law enforcement as well as community partners to bridge the gap of fear and distrust, to try to sit down with officers to get to know to encourage them to get to know the community as we're doing through our NCO philosophy, our build a block, and try to mend a lot of broken fences. There are people in our community who are fearful of the police, who do not trust the police, and we have to work together, people. So I will say that it is important.
It seems we lost the pastor and Bill's on mute.
Yeah, well, Pastor, come back if you. I hope I didn't do that. If I did, I apologize. Where'd you go? Kev, like, what's your take on all three videos that we watched?
You know, they're 3 different, scenarios. I mean, we tore them apart. We didn't really talk a lot about the last video,
which was to me was an excellent shooting.
Yeah, the shooting's fine, but they this was maybe a case of if they weren't being so passive, they wouldn't have had to go to shooting, right? The gentleman who from the car asked that only one officer approach him, and the sergeant said yes. Who's in charge? Like, I'm sorry, you're going to dictate to me? You know, we allowed that guy to dictate to them. Now, it doesn't mean the scenario would be different, because this sounded like this guy wanted to die, right? Because he asked, "Can you please finish me?" He says
but
that.
you know what's so funny? Like you said, like here you have one guy, a black guy, that's a bad dude. Let me tell you something. For whatever reason, his death wish, he wanted it granted, and you know, another officer would have granted it. These officers, for whatever reason, could have had a different mindset. They were trying to de-escalate. I'm so happy that they didn't drop so much of their guard down that they were hurt. I'm glad that from a law enforcement standpoint that they did what they had to do. You know, dude was a bad dude. He deserved them hot ones in his behind.
Yeah, the sergeant put his gun away to appease the guy. Now, luckily, that sergeant drew at rapid speed and accuracy, right? Like
absolutely.
That was, you know,
that was excellent. That was excellent. That was excellent. You know, with the white guy, 9 out of
10 times he would have shot his partner in that maneuver.
Yeah, with the white guy in the car. Listen, officers, I don't know. You know, do we? You know, there's so many different mindsets on that. Do you have a white officer not trying to kill a white man? I don't know. I can't speak from a white eye. I know one thing. He was definitely trying to pacify this dude. Let me tell you something. The worst case scenario, he should have got punched right in his face. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you
that's not the worst case. That's the lowest that should.
That's the lowest. The lowest.
Yeah. There's no way he shouldn't have been dragged out of that car at minimal and praised everything that he didn't get shot. And like I said, the cops shot him.
And I don't mean to sound malicious or something like he should have been thrown on that highway. But you know what I'm saying? Because let me tell you something.
He's not going to get an opportunity to put his hand near that gun.
No.
And if that hand goes near that gun.
And then you give me verbiage like, yo, I got my gun. You put your gun away. I'll shoot you. What? Yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm gonna take it to the hood. Okay.
I mean, I wish the first cop or one of the two of them had a taser and could have lit him up and tried that. But that to me is punching him. You know, we could joke about it, but honestly, I don't even know if that's a safe move.
Yeah.
Lighting him up with a taser.
From a tactical standpoint, no. Gun to gun, he deserves to get shot or tased. That's what it is.
Yeah.
From gun to gun. In the first one, different perspectives. I think we all three gave some insightful knowledge or testimony on what we felt and saw. Is there really a right answer or wrong answer? Like I said, from a law enforcement standpoint, were the officers indemnified? Yes, I have to say that because I know the law from a law enforcement standpoint. So, no, I'm not selling my soul. I'm not selling out. I'm not joining forces with NYPD on this. I'm telling you what it would have been from a law enforcement standpoint. He was justified in shooting Mr. Trawick. Unfortunate. Mr. Officer Davis used, I would assume that I may have went from his standpoint as a law enforcement officer. If I'm Monday morning quarterbacking this, I would have tried my best to not shoot or try to use that door as a barrier. I personally, Kevin thinks he was charging. I don't think he was charging. I think he was mad. I think his being an emotionally disturbed person, I think his energy went real left. But I think there's a difference in charging. I think we've all had arguments with significant others, and I'm not trying to so much equate a significant other to this person, but what I'm trying to equate the difference in a person arguing in frustration and stomping a foot or approaching you in lieu of approaching you to hurt you. And I can only say this from a standpoint of being in altercations. See, if you've never been in a situation similar to that, then you can't talk about it. The beautiful thing about me addressing that, I've been there. So I'm not saying each one is the same one, but what I'm trying to tell you, it takes a life of its own from the person who you are. You understand what I'm trying to say? What would I do now at my age in comparison to what I did when I was 20 some years old on the job? You know, where I was young and vibrant and Bruce Leroy. Right now, I'm an old man and ain't fighting anybody. You understand what I'm trying to say?
So I ain't climbing old abandoned buildings anymore, walking across roofs with holes in them.
Exactly.
Those days are long gone.
Exactly. So
that ain't happening anymore today.
So, I think hopefully when we come back next week, Pastor, you're always welcome. I'll give you some closing remarks, and I'll give Kevin some closing remarks. We'll hopefully have some more information on the man shot with the sandwich in Iowa and Ohio.
We keep saying with a sandwich. There was a gun recovered on the scene,
but he could carry. It was a right to carry state.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he couldn't carry. I'm just saying we're saying he had a sandwich. The guy had a gun.
Hold up. Yeah, but he had a sandwich in his hand. He didn't have a gun in his hand.
The gun was. I don't know about that. His family is now saying that.
That's what his family said.
But there's nothing to show that.
Well, first we even have to talk about why he was even stopped. We don't even know why he was even stopped. Because the bottom line is he was going into his apartment, and what the three of us all have, because I shared the story with the three of us. What we all have is that the individual, the gentleman, was going into his apartment. This unit didn't have a body cam because it wasn't deemed that they had to have it, but he was the wrong person.
They're saying it's not the wrong person. They were looking for somebody else. This guy drove by. The officer said he showed his gun as he drove by something, so they went after him and drove after him. So it wasn't like it wasn't a misidentity guy where they think, oh, that's Bobby, let's go get him. They didn't think this was the guy they were looking for. They were out looking for a target. The target wasn't there. I don't know if there was, a little road rage incident or something, and they're saying that I think Casey Goodwin is the guy's name, right? Showed his gun, and that's why they drove after him. And then the altercation happened after he pulled over, which was apparently at his house. Now the rest of the facts are tough.
Hopefully they get footage from the street, because the bottom line is, if we can get a vaccine that usually takes 10 years to get, we can get some footage on what happened with this man right now, because the bottom line is somebody needs to tell us what happened in that street that led to this man getting killed, going into his apartment. The one thing that we all agree that he was at his apartment and his gun wasn't in his hand. And we don't know. Listen, hopefully we'll have more information. We'll talk about this next week.
That's
still investigating. Yeah.
Yeah, and the feds have come in to take a look at it as well. So there is a second set of eyes. The PD the cop worked for wasn't the initial investigator. It's another police department that was doing the investigation, and the attorney general.
Are the U.S. Marshals involved in this?
He's part of a Marshal Task Force. He's a police officer on the Marshal Task Force.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which is why he wasn't wearing a body camera. I don't, the task force doesn't wear it. You're working with the federal team under their rules.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they have that in Mississippi as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's NYPD does every police department, not every, a lot of police departments belong to task force. So he was on the task force. There's like anything else, it's always hard to say, Bill, because we know the one thing that we in law enforcement suck at is putting out facts in a timely fashion to quell stories and rumors, and sometimes you got to just fall on a grenade as well. That's my opinion.
Very true. Very true. I want to commend you, Kevin Branzetti. Thank you for your footage. Malika will be very proud of your.
I'm gonna have to show you how to do that after we hang up.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate that. So, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I hope you have appreciated this show. I hope our guests tonight, we've tried to give you some insight from a law enforcement, from a community activist standpoint. All we're trying to do is just give you some good information. If you appreciate it, like it, share it, YouTube it, give the thumbs up, subscribe to it, share it with your friends and family. Pastor Graves,
Yes, sir.
before we go out of here, please just give us some words, some love, some anything that you want to say positive before we say goodnight. And then Kevin Branzetti, of course, you always finish it out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amen. Once again, thank you both. It's always a pleasure being with you. I just wanted to share this in closing. Anyone that feels that your rights, if you feel that your rights have been violated by a member of law enforcement, you have the right to get their information, to get their name, their badge number, and also the precinct that they work at. So you have rights. Don't ever think for a second that you don't have rights as a citizen. Yes, you do. If you feel that you have been disrespected, that you feel that you, in some way, your rights have been violated, as I tell members of my community, report it. Get the name of the officer, get their badge number, their precinct, and go to their CO, their commanding officer, and report it if you feel that you have been wronged in some way. That's number one. Number two, in fact, I didn't give my take on the last one. I think the gentleman who was told to put his hands up and back up.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. Kevin, I think you shared. It seemed like he wanted the officers to shoot. There was something going on there psychologically. That's unfortunate that it had to come to that. But unfortunately, this is what happens. You have shootings that are justified, and then you have shootings that are unjustified. And I just want to say again, thank you very much, Bill and Kevin, Kevin Branzetti, for allowing me to be a part of this broadcast. It has truly been a blessing. And the reason we come together this way is not because we have nothing else better to do. What I'm hoping for is that we can have programs like this that are solution-based. What can we do to make our community better? What can we do, or how can we improve relations between community and law enforcement? So yes, there's a lot of things that NYPD and all police departments need to work on. Racism is a part of our society. It's in every aspect of our society. There's no way to avoid it. What we can hope for is that there's a group of people, a remnant of people, who are prepared to say that we must be better than this. When we see issues within our community, when we see that race relations are at a fever pitch, and we see that there are people in our community that feel that they are not being heard, I want us to come together and say, okay, what's going on? Why do you feel the way you're feeling, and why do you feel you don't have a voice? Those are the individuals we want to talk to, because we want to be solution-based. We don't want to just come together and talk, but we have problems, and knowing that, what can we do to solve these complex problems? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kev?
So, Pastor Graves, as always, this twice count as always. A pleasure having you this evening. And as I said to you earlier, and I put in the chat, I can't wait for the day you're running for mayor, and I'm going to push everybody out there. You should reach out to Pastor Graves and push him to run for office. It would be terrific having somebody in there of your character and integrity.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you. To everybody else, it's Christmas month. It's kind of our strange Christmas time, strange holiday time, but remember, it is that time of year. It's the time to do a little something extra for somebody who can't. So take a moment, figure it out. It's years ago, my younger ones, my older ones were in Scouts. They would go to nursing homes this time of year, and lots of Scout troops would do that and sing Christmas carols and spend some time, play some games. Nobody's visiting nursing homes today. It's not allowed. Yeah. So, maybe a small present, a letter, reach out to your local nursing home, see what they'll accept. Just, do a little something, put a smile on someone's face. It's that time of year.
That's nice. You got a little heart. You're a nice guy, Kevin.
It does. It beats in there.
But you know what's so funny? I think you're right. I mean, Kevin and I will be speaking to you before the Christmas, but this is the holiday season. Please have something to be thankful for. If you're listening to this podcast or you're still alive, that is something enough in itself to be thankful for. I think 2020 has been the year that we all will remember. I think, Kevin and I and others may remember, and a lot of you might remember 9/11, but listen, 2020 is something that will go down in the history books. So I pray for all of you to go out in the year with positive vibes and blessings and things of that magnitude. I think, what I try to do is just give you a forum where you can vent and listen and converse with people that have knowledge in the fields that we're talking about. Who to say what's an expert and it's not expert? We're expert. We've been doing it long enough. Kevin and I've been doing it long enough. So yeah, damn it, I'm an expert. And how about that? And he's an expert. And Pastor Graves has been doing it long enough to have some knowledge and things like that. I just want to give a shout out to my lovely wife in the back. She's working. I don't know if she can hear me. I don't know what she's doing over there. I want to give you the upcoming schedule. Monday, I have for those that like hip hop and have watched TV for years, we have a iconic person in the rap world, Ralph McDaniels of Video Music Box. He will be on Monday with the legend of DJs in his field, original crowd motivator. And we were talking about these topics and more, and not just his career and things like that, because the one thing anybody knows about me that I'll talk about your career, but I want to ask you on your political stances on feelings and things of that magnitude. So we definitely will do that. And Kevin, I will definitely need to know how to share that screen. Also, too, on the 21st, Real Talk with Allison Williams, we have the iconic Melba Moore will be in the building, and she will be talking about her career and other things like this along that magnitude. Kevin and I were here every Wednesday. Pastor, you're always welcome to come back. Malika will be back the following Tuesday with her segment, Small Businesses. She's back there working, making the money. Get the money for your honey, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I appreciate you all. Thank you all.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sure.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you done a segment on financial literacy? Because that's very important for our community as well. Financial literacy. How do we go about saving money?
Coming up in the new year.
Coming
up in the new year. And if you have somebody that you think would be a good person, refer them to me, please.
Yeah.
Your recommendation is paramount. Exactly. So, Pastor,
Amen. Can we close in prayer? I was going to say,
that's what I'm about to say. Yeah, let's close in prayer, man. Please.
Okay. All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering, Lord. I thank you for my dear brothers, Lord, Brother Bill Foster and Brother Kevin Branzetti. And Lord, I pray that, Lord, in this time of lockdown, Lord, that you would birth in us, Lord, a renewed focus, Lord. Let your spirit, Lord, permeate every fiber of our being. And we ask that, Lord, you would be glorified in the life of these two men, be glorified in the work that Kevin is doing and the work that Bill is doing. And Lord, I pray that Real Talk Chronicles would begin to open doors, Lord, for larger platforms, Lord, that you would bring a word of healing, a word of deliverance and restoration to those who feel that they don't have a voice, Lord. And Lord, I pray that, Lord, you would do something miraculous and the remaining time in 2020 into 2021, that your spirit and your presence would permeate and begin to take preeminence over the United States of America. Cover every law enforcement officer. Cover the executive office, the legislative office, the judicial branches of government, all the way down to the state and local governments, Lord. And we ask that, Lord, you would give our leaders discernment and wisdom when it comes to governance. We ask that, Lord, you would birth up a remnant of believers, of people who truly care about bettering their fellow man. It is our prayer that, Lord, as we enter into this new year, that your spirit and your presence would again begin to magnify and take preeminence in the minds and hearts of people. We're asking for a Holy Ghost revival, a revival of the mind, a revival of our focus, a revival of prejudices and racism, Lord. Dismantle and destroy every mindset that is against his brother, that, Lord, you would bring us to a place of reconciliation, a place of healing, and a place of deliverance. We give you all the glory, all of the honor, and all of the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know, what more can you say beside that? On behalf of my name, Malika Vaughn Forster, I'm Bill Forster. Malika's going to come. Malika's going to come and chime and give her little words of wisdom on the past, on anything that she wants to say. You know, thank you. Pastor, I appreciate. Let me tell you something. There is nothing like a good prayer that can take you to, you know, another place and give you some comfort and some solace, just to make you feel good about. Yeah, you know, I mean, so, and that was a good prayer too. I was like, you know, you'd be like, I was like, okay, yeah. You know how your eyes close and you'd be like, yeah, yeah. So it was a good prayer, Pastor.
Amen. Thank God.
So I
Glory
would
to
love
God.
I can't wait to the future to hear you preach in person. Shout out to everybody that was listening. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my lovely host, Malika Vaughn Forster, with my lovely co-host, Kevin Branzetti, and my special host all the time. He's always welcome, Pastor Kevin Graves. Sweetie, what would you like to say before we turn it off?
I just want to say good show. And you know, I was back there working so diligently. And you know, when someone touches you on the center of your back and you're not expecting it. So that's what just happened a minute ago. So
she's taking it somewhere else, Pastor.
If I jump,
she's taking it somewhere else, Pastor. Kevin.
That was the reason for
YouTube, Facebook Live. She's taking it somewhere else.
Taking it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Such serious topics.
Listen, we ain't making no babies up in this household. We gonna love each other right. As he said, Barry White said, "Show you right." You know what I'm saying? Everybody, Kev, Pastor, hold on for a few minutes. Everybody, it's Real Talk Chronicles. We'll see you. You just had a show yesterday.
We had a great show. We have a couple things we're about to launch. We're about to launch your website, which I'm so excited for everyone to see. So that's coming very soon.
Right.
We have a new Facebook page, Real Talk Chronicles.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What else? Monday, you have it's Monday.
Yes, I have Ralph McDaniels.
Yes.
But you just had a show last week. If you want to see her show, if you missed it, go to Real Talk Chronicles.
Yes, so go to our YouTube channel. Spread the word. So last night I interviewed two wonderful ladies. They're both business owners. Deirdre Gaskins of Duke's Cafe, and also Kyra Harris of Abundant Life. So if you missed it, it's all right. Go to YouTube. All of our shows that we stream live are saved out there on the YouTube channel, so you can feel free to check it out there. So I cannot believe Christmas is 2 weeks away.
Christmas, what are y'all doing for Christmas?
My goodness.
Kevin, I'll see you before Christmas, but Pastor, what are you doing for Christmas?
Don't know yet.
Yeah.
Probably spend some time with my family. Just being careful.
I think even pastors need to spend time with their family too. Yeah, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I had a surprise for you tonight. I was hoping he was going to come in. I know he probably has some other obligations, but Assemblyman Al Taylor was going to try to chime in tonight on these topics that we had, and we would have asked him on from a legislative aspect what he'd have thought could have been done for things of that magnitude. So, Kevin, you are always welcome, and Pastor, you're always welcome when I have Pastor on. the first Monday of every month, you guys are welcome to come in and chime in too, because the bottom line is the conversation is good. And,
Yes.
you know, we get insight on just HPD, housing, just what does he think from a legislative standpoint, from his district. And just, you know, we talk about everything with Al. Shout out to everybody's chiming in. Hey, Vanetta. Hey, Marquetta, Mark Rose. Appreciate you all. Walt, I see you, you know, all you blessings and everybody. Cuz I see you sometimes you just got to do it. Yeah, exactly. Everybody, it's a peace and blessings.
Kevin, I see those blue flashing lights back there. I'm inspired. Very nice.
My daughter came by today, so that's like my little balcony in the back. So there's
Nice.
that. But then we did the front, and then I told you my Christmas tree in Saturday.
Yeah. I'm not putting up any trees. Malika's asked about it. Call me Bill. Call me Ebenezer Forster. It's not happening right now.
It's nice to see both of you. Thank
Everybody,
you
it's Real Talk Chronicles. We'll see you again Monday. Hold on, fellas. I talk to you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Let's see. Hold on, fellas.
We're holding.